My name is Jamie, 35, and for 8 years, my daughter Lily has been the compass that keeps my life pointed toward something gentle and good. We have our small rituals: braiding nights with lavender oil, Saturday pancakes shaped like clouds, the way she taps my wrist twice whenever she wants me to look at her drawings. Family gatherings at my mother's house aren't part of those rituals, but every year I tell myself to be brave, to try again, to show Lily that belonging is worth the effort. This year, the driveway was already crowded when we pulled up. Balloons on the mailbox, a banner across the porch, my mother's way of staging harmony like a showroom. Lily bounced in her seat, touching the braids I'd woven for her the night before, the ones she'd circled in a magazine, and whispered, "Please, Mommy?" They gleamed like spun sunlight in the afternoon. Inside, the house smelled like roast chicken and lemon polish. My father, Thomas, hugged us with clean hands and a guilty smile. He called Lily Butterfly, the only nickname she loves. My Aunt Patricia slipped a beaded bracelet, one Lily made, onto her wrist as if it was a jewel from a museum. For 10 minutes, it almost felt normal. Then my mother, Margaret, glanced at Lily's hair and said, "Ambitious," the way some people say, excessive. She turned to the stove without meeting my eye, narrating Samantha's latest breathtaking achievements, as if I weren't standing there, as if Lily weren't right beside me, absorbing every inflection. I steadied my smile the way you steady a tray, careful not to spill. Samantha always arrives like an entrance. She floated in half an hour late with a bakery box and a perfume that caught in my throat. Derek trailed behind her, trying to be invisible and failing because shame is its own spotlight. "Love the dress," Samantha said to me, eyes skipping to the hem, the price tag she imagined there. We air-kissed, which is just another word for pretending. She looked at Lily's braids, and something flared in her expression before she laughed and said, "Someone's a little show pony today." Lily reached for my hand, then pretended she was only fixing her sleeve. I squeezed twice. She squeezed back. The children begged to go upstairs. I hesitated. There is a place inside every mother that catalogs risks the way accountants catalog receipts. Stairs, sharp corners, other people's unsupervised children, older cousins with cruel streaks. "Stay with Abby and Zach," I told Lily, dropping to her height. "If anything feels wrong, you come find me right away." Lily nodded solemnly. "Okay, but it's going to be fun, Mom." She believed it. I wanted to. For a while, the house filled with the usual orchestration: the clink of platters, my mother's jokes that are really announcements, the cousin who tells long stories about CrossFit. I let the noise wash over me. When I asked Patricia how she'd been, she said gently, "Have you noticed Samantha's been off?" I hadn't, not beyond the usual edges. Patricia lowered her voice. "Yesterday she was proud of buying clippers. For Derek," she said. "But since when does Samantha save money?" The word slid into place like a key I didn't want to turn. "Clippers?" I repeated, my throat tightening. Patricia watched me carefully, as if she'd set a glass on a table and was waiting to see if it would crack. Around then, I noticed what wasn't there. 8 children upstairs, and yet the ceiling was quiet. No stampeding feet, no shrieks that turned to laughter, just the thudding soundtrack of a video game, steady as a heartbeat you don't trust. I caught Derek's eye as he stood near the window, twisting his wedding band. He looked away. My stomach rolled. I told myself not to be dramatic. I told myself that caution is not the same as love, that I need to let Lily explore the world without turning every step into a warning. I told myself a lot of things as I climbed the stairs. Zach's door was open. 3 boys stared at a flashing screen, none of them Lily. "Have you seen her?" I asked. "Maybe with Abby," Zach said without looking up, the way boys do when they're hiding and hoping you'll leave before the secret leaks out of the room. I checked the guest room, empty. My old bedroom, now a museum of dusty trophies and my mother's file boxes, empty. In the hall, a bathroom door stood closed. From behind it came the small, ruptured sound of someone trying not to cry. "Lily?" I tapped the door with my knuckle. "It's Mom." Silence, then a sniff. "Go away." Her voice was raw, scraped thin. "I'm coming in," I said, voice steady. "Right now." A soft click. The lock released, like a held breath. When I opened the door, Time clenched. Lily stood on the tile in her socks, shoulders up around her ears. Her beautiful hair, our careful braids, our hour together, was gone. Shorn to the scalp in jagged patches, dotted with nicks where blades had bitten. Clumps lay across the floor like the aftermath of a storm in a golden field. Her face had that stunned, flooded look. Grief wears when it hasn't learned its own name yet. "Mommy," she said, and folded into me so fast I barely caught her. I wrapped the towel from the rack around her shoulders and sank to my knees. "Oh, baby," I whispered, because there are moments when language is a small house with too few rooms. What happened?" Behind me, a light laugh. "Don't be so dramatic." Samantha leaned her shoulder against the frame, phone angled toward us, as if we were content to be captured. "It's just hair. It grows back." I turned, still caging Lily with my body. "You did this?" Samantha lifted the phone and pressed to zoom as if artistry might redeem cruelty. "Vanity is such a bad habit, Juliet. You've made that child believe her hair is a crown. Consider this a lesson." There is a particular silence that follows sentences like that, a silence that's almost sound. In it, I heard Abby's small gasp as she hovered near Zach, both of them ghosting the threshold, not fully in the room because guilt prefers doorways. Abby's hands were ink-smudged, her eyes wet. "She said not to," Abby whispered, looking at me as if a lighthouse might appear in my face. "She said please. She said it hurts." Lily shook under my arms. "I told them," she hiccuped. "I told them to stop." "I know." I kissed the crown of her head, the stubble harsh against my mouth. My heart was beating like I was running, but I was still. It's a strange thing, how rage can make you cold and precise instead of hot. I saw everything with bright clarity, the satisfied angle of Samantha's jaw, the hair clippers on the counter still warm, the tiny smear of blood at Lily's hairline, the way the mirror reflected us as if we were a picture someone had cut into with dull scissors. Samantha flipped her camera around to show me the screen. A video played, Lily pinned by children she trusted, Samantha's hands brisk and unhesitating, the buzz of blades, the word princess, stretched into a jeer. "Look," she said. "It's almost funny. She screams like a kettle." I stood. The room swayed and then steadied. "Delete it," I said. She smiled with her teeth. "Family chat already loves it. You can't take a joke forever, Juliet. You never could." "Open your cloud and pray," I said, "because you just filmed yourself assaulting a child." She rolled her eyes. "Assault? Big word for a haircut." "It wasn't a haircut," I said quietly. "It was a violation. You held her down." I looked at Zach. "Did you?" His chin trembled. He nodded once, shame cracking through. Abby started to cry. From the hall, footfalls gathered, curiosity curdling into a crowd. My father arrived first and stopped in the doorway like a man who stumbled into a room and found the floor missing. "Oh, God," he breathed. Behind him, cousins clustered, faces a blend of shock and the avidity people get when they sense a story they'll retell later. Somewhere down the stairs, my mother called, "Dinner!" as if that word could mop this clean. "Delete it," I repeated, meeting Samantha's gaze until she had to blink. "Now." She lifted her chin. "Make me." The part of me that still wanted peace flickered, made one last plea. Then something older and harder took the wheel. I reached past her and unplugged the clippers. I picked up a wad of bright hair and dropped it in the trash with a sound like paper. I looked at my daughter, her scalp tender, her eyes too old, and decided, finally, that we were done performing family at the expense of her safety. I tucked Lily closer, turning my body so my shoulder blocked the camera, and said very calmly, "We're leaving. If that video appears anywhere, the police will see it before any of your friends do." Samantha laughed again, high and brittle. "You're so sanctimonious, always have been." "Maybe," I said, "but I'm still her mother." I guided Lily towards the door, the towel a small white cape around her. The crowd parted as if we were a procession, and they were altar decorations. In the mirror, I saw Samantha's reflection following, phone still lifted, eyes bright with something that looked a lot like hunger. It struck me then that some people would rather be monstrous than ordinary, because ordinary doesn't get applause. On the landing, I looked back once, not at Samantha, not at the cousins, but at my father, who looked at me as if he wanted to speak and had misplaced his courage. "Dad," I said softly, "do you have the key to the downstairs powder room? She needs quiet." He fumbled, found it, pressed it into my palm, and whispered, "I'm sorry," which was finally a true thing. We moved down the stairs, each step deliberate. Lily's fingers threaded into the fabric at my shoulder. I could feel her breath stumble and steady, stumble and steady. When we reached the bottom, my mother appeared at the foot like a hostess shepherding guests. "What on earth is the fuss?" she said. And then she saw Lily. For one heartbeat, her face showed shock. After that, it arranged itself. "It's just hair," she said briskly. "Come set the table." Behind us, Samantha's phone chimed with new messages, little bells ringing for wolves. Something in me went very still. I touched Lily's cheek, felt the heat of it, the life. "Not this time," I said, and turned toward the door that led to air and sky and away. The slam of the front door behind us should have marked an ending, but instead it felt like the thud of a gavel, only the trial hadn't yet begun. I carried Lily to the car parked crooked in my mother's overstuffed driveway, her body small but heavy in my arms, every ounce of her trembling weight a reminder of what had just been stolen from her. Aunt Patricia followed, quick footsteps behind me, carrying Lily's backpack. She looked stricken. "Juliet," she whispered, "take her home. I'll handle the rest in there." Her voice cracked, not from uncertainty, but from sorrow. She squeezed my arm, her eyes wet with a guilt that didn't belong to her, but to the house we'd left. Lily nestled into the passenger seat, wrapping herself in the blanket I kept for chilly nights. She pulled it up to cover her head. Her little voice broke me when she whispered, "Mommy, don't look at me. Please." I reached over, touching her hand, not forcing her to lower the blanket. "You are beautiful no matter what," I said softly, though I knew my words were just seeds in soil too raw to take root yet. As we drove away, the laughter from the house still spilled faintly into the night air. They were already returning to their dinner plates, pretending nothing monumental had occurred upstairs. It chilled me, their ability to fold cruelty into routine. Lily sniffled beside me. "I tried to stop them," she said. "I screamed. I fought. But they were stronger. Does that mean I'm weak?" "No," I said immediately. "It means they were wrong. Strength isn't about holding someone down. It's about standing up again after someone's tried to break you. And that's what we'll do. Together." My voice was steady, but inside something dark and furious roared. By the time we reached home, the sky was bruised purple, the wind chimes on our porch tinkling faintly in welcome. Our little two-bedroom house had never looked more like sanctuary. Lily clutched the blanket tighter as she hurried inside, avoiding her reflection in the glass door. She ran straight to the bathroom, shutting herself in. I gave her a moment, then followed. She stood before the mirror, peeling the blanket down. The sight of her shaved scalp reflected under the harsh bathroom light was almost unbearable. She touched the stubble with tentative fingers, her eyes filling. "I look like an alien," she whispered. "You look like my strong, brave girl," I said, kneeling beside her. "What Aunt Samantha did wasn't about you at all. It was about her anger, her jealousy, her emptiness. None of it belongs to you." I tried to make my voice sure, even though inside I was unraveling. Lily turned to me, with the kind of question no mother should have to answer. "Why does she hate me? Why would Grandma let her do it?" Her voice was small, bewildered. I held her, not because I had answers, but because sometimes love is the only answer we have. That night, after Lily was wrapped in pajamas patterned with stars, she crawled into my bed instead of hers. "Can I sleep with you tonight?" she asked, her eyes wide and fragile. "Always," I said. As she drifted into uneasy sleep, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. No more appeasing, no more hoping family would magically become safe. I picked up my phone and made 3 calls. The first was to Megan, my friend from college turned family lawyer. When she heard the story, her sharp intake of breath hissed through the line. "Juliet, that's assault on a minor. Don't let anyone call it a prank. File a police report first thing tomorrow." The second call was to Dr. Bennett, the child psychologist Lily had seen briefly after my divorce. She agreed to see us Monday morning. "Document everything," she advised. "Take photos. Write down exactly what happened while it's fresh. Lily's sense of trust has been violated. She needs immediate reassurance and a safe space to process." The third call was to Kevin, my ex-husband. Despite what my mother spat earlier about bastard child, Kevin had never questioned Lily's paternity. He had always loved her, even if he was a less consistent father than I wanted. When I told him what had happened, his fury cracked through the phone. "I'm booking a flight right now," he said. "I'll be there tomorrow. Juliet, I swear those people are never getting near our daughter again." His words were like a lifeline, confirmation that at least one parent would stand shoulder to shoulder with me. By the time I hung up, the house was silent except for Lily's soft, fitful breathing. I checked my phone again. Dozens of messages, some from my mother, terse and commanding. "Don't exaggerate, Juliet. It was a joke. Stop making a scene." Others from Samantha, laced with mockery. "Better get used to it, bald princess. Internet's gonna love this." My father's messages were fewer, hesitant. "Please, don't cut us off. Let's talk tomorrow." I put the phone face down on the nightstand and turned it off. The next morning, the doorbell rang at 7:30. My parents stood there, pale, weary, my father clutching a gift bag stuffed with tissue paper. "We brought something for Lily," he said, holding it out. Inside was a blonde wig, synthetic but expensive. My anger was ice cold as I asked, "You think this fixes anything?" "It's a start," my mother insisted, her tone softening into a performance of contrition. "We feel terrible." "Do you?" I challenged. "Because last night you defended Samantha and insulted my daughter in the same breath." Her face flickered, then she said words I'd never heard from her before. "I was upset. I said things I didn't mean. I'm sorry." For a heartbeat, I almost believed her. But then she added, "Samantha is devastated. Someone shared the video online. It's spreading. She's already lost job interviews." And there it was, the real reason for their early arrival. Damage control, not concern. "You came here to protect her," I said, "not Lily." My father stepped forward, voice weary. "Juliet, please. Samantha needs help, yes, but she also needs family. If you made a statement, said it was just a misunderstanding." I cut him off. "You want me to lie? To save her career? After she assaulted an 8-year-old? Think of what this will do to the family," my mother pleaded. "I am thinking of family," I said. "My family. Lily." I pressed the wig back into my father's hands and shut the door. Inside, Lily was standing in the hall in her pajamas, head bare, having overheard enough to know. "Was that Grandma?" she asked. "Yes," I admitted. "They brought a present, but I sent them away, because we don't need presents from people who can't keep us safe." Her eyes were solemn. "Good. I don't want their presents. I just want to not feel scared anymore." I knelt and hugged her tight. "You won't have to," I promised. This time it wasn't just comfort, it was a vow. That day, I drove us to the police station. As the officer photographed Lily's shaved head and took down my statement, my hands shook, not from doubt, but from the sharp clarity of a mother who knows a line has been crossed that can never be uncrossed. And somewhere in the back of my mind, one thought circled like a storm waiting to break. If Samantha believed she could get away with this, what would she do next if no one stopped her? The fight for my daughter's safety had just begun. The waiting area of the police station smelled faintly of disinfectant and stale coffee. Lily clutched my hand so tightly my knuckles ached, but I didn't let go. The officer, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, crouched down to Lily's height. "Sweetheart, can I take some pictures of your head?" she asked gently. Lily hesitated, then nodded, her fingers still digging crescents into my palm. Flashbulbs popped as the camera documented the jagged patches, the tiny nicks of blood where the clippers had scraped too close. Each click of the shutter felt like both a wound and a promise. Proof, evidence, a step toward justice. Afterward, Lily whispered to me, "Will Aunt Samantha go to jail?" Her voice was a mix of fear and hope, like she didn't know which answer she wanted. I knelt, brushing her cheek. "I don't know, baby, but what she did was wrong. And people who hurt others, especially children, need consequences. That's how we stop them from doing it again." We left with a case number and a heavy folder of instructions. As I strapped Lily back into the car, my phone buzzed with another flood of messages. My mother. "Juliet, take this down a notch before you ruin the family." Samantha. "Hope you're enjoying your little drama show. Police can't touch me. It was just hair." My father. "Please, let's talk before this gets worse." I turned the phone off. It wasn't about them anymore. That afternoon, we sat in Dr. Bennett's office. The child psychologist knelt in front of Lily, admiring the lavender scarf we'd wrapped around her head. "That scarf makes your eyes sparkle," she said warmly. Lily managed a shy smile, the first flicker of light since the bathroom horror. Dr. Bennett and I spoke alone while Lily colored in the waiting area. "She's experiencing acute trauma," Dr. Bennett explained. being restrained by people she trusted, losing her hair against her will, being filmed, those are profound violations of safety and identity. But you're already doing the most important things, removing her from the harmful environment, validating her feelings, and getting professional help. What else can I do? I asked, fighting back tears. Consistency, Dr. Bennett said. Reassure her daily that she's safe and that you believe her. Trauma heals when children know the adults in their life are unshakable guardians. Her words settled in my chest like iron. That evening, I met with Lily's school principal and counselor. Both were horrified when I explained what had happened. We'll prepare the class before she returns, the counselor promised. We'll make it clear that differences deserve respect. The principal added, and we'll enforce zero tolerance for bullying. Lily will be safe here. Their compassion was a stark contrast to my family's dismissive cruelty. Wednesday morning, Lily stood at the doorway in a floral dress, her scarf tied neatly. Her best friend Zoe appeared with her mother, bouncing on the porch with a secret. "Ta-da!" Zoe announced, whipping off her hat to reveal a freshly buzzed haircut. "Now we match." Lily's eyes widened. You did that for me?" "Mom said I could, so you wouldn't feel alone," Zoe said proudly. Tears spilled down Lily's cheeks, but this time they weren't from shame. She tugged off her own scarf, showing her uneven stubble. "We do match," she whispered. For the first time since that night, she walked to the car with her head uncovered. At school drop-off, parents and children turned to look. I braced myself for whispers, but instead Zoe slipped her hand into Lily's, and together they walked in as if daring the world to challenge them. I sat in the car, trembling with gratitude and sorrow all at once. Later that afternoon, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but answered anyway. "Is this Juliet Williams?" a woman asked. "This is Rachel Gonzalez with the Daily Chronicle. We've received tips about a video involving your sister and daughter. I'd like to hear your side before we publish." The words froze me. "What video?" I asked, though dread already told me the answer. "The one circulating online. Your sister shaving your daughter's head. It's gained traction, over 50,000 views already." I felt sick. "My daughter is a child. She's been through hell. Please don't use her trauma as a headline." "I understand," Rachel said carefully, "but people are calling your sister the haircut aunt from hell. If you want to control the narrative." I hung up, hands shaking. I opened my browser, and there it was. Grainy footage of Lily struggling, Samantha laughing, Zach and Abby pinning her arms. Hundreds of comments seared the screen. Outrage, disgust, hashtags demanding justice, strangers defending my daughter while laughing at my sister. It was vindication and violation twisted together. I called Megan, my lawyer friend. "It's viral," I whispered. "The whole world can see her terror." "I'll file takedown requests," Megan said, her voice sharp with focus. "But once it's out there, it spreads like wildfire. What we can do is use it as evidence. This video proves everything. It may be Samantha's undoing." That night, Derek called. His voice was tired, defeated. "Juliet, I moved out," he said. "I can't stay married to someone who would hurt a child like that. I should have stopped her. I should have stopped a lot of things." I didn't answer right away. I remembered the way he'd avoided my eyes at the gathering, the way he'd let his wife's cruelty play out. "You knew she had clippers," I said. "I thought they were for me. She said she wanted to save money by cutting my hair. I never imagined—" His voice cracked. "I'm so sorry. I've given a statement to the police. I'll support whatever action you take." After I hung up, I sat at the kitchen table in silence. For years, I'd tolerated the small cruelties, excused them as family quirks, told myself Lily deserved to know her relatives, but this was no longer survivable. The cycle had to end here. When I looked in on Lily before bed, she was asleep with her stuffed rabbit clutched to her chest, Zoe's friendship bracelet around her wrist. For the first time, her face was peaceful. I pulled the blanket up to her chin and whispered into the dark, "No one will ever hurt you like that again. I promise." And this time I meant every word. Thursday dawned gray, with rain streaking the windows like lines in a ledger, tallying everything we'd lost. I poured Lily's cereal, though she barely touched it, her small fingers tracing patterns on the table. "Do I have to go back to school today?" she asked, her voice soft. "No," I said, sliding the bowl away. "Not until you feel ready." She nodded, relieved, but the way her shoulders slumped told me she still carried a weight no child should. My phone rang again. This time, a number I knew. Aunt Patricia. "Juliet, may I come by?" she asked. "I don't want to intrude, but I have something for Lily." When she arrived, she carried a wicker basket filled with cookies, sketch pads, and a fresh set of colored pencils. Lily peeked out from behind my leg, hesitant, but Patricia knelt, offering the basket. "I should have stopped her," Patricia whispered, her voice breaking. "I should have stopped Samantha years ago. I let things slide in the name of peace. That was cowardice, and it won't happen again." Lily studied her aunt's face for a long moment, then took the pencils. "Thank you," she whispered. Patricia looked up at me, eyes brimming. "You're not alone in this anymore. I won't let them corner you again." That evening, Kevin's flight landed. He came straight from the airport, still in his rumpled blazer, exhaustion etched across his face. When Lily saw him, she ran into his arms, blanket falling from her shoulders. "Daddy!" she cried, her voice breaking with relief. He held her so tightly I thought he might never let go. "I saw the video," Kevin said later, his voice shaking with rage as we sat in the kitchen. "Juliet, I can't believe I wasn't here. I can't believe anyone would do that to her." "You believe me then?" I asked, needing to hear it. "Of course I do. I'll stand beside you in whatever it takes. Police, court, therapy. They'll never come near her again." The next day, Friday, Lily surprised me. "Mom," she said, tugging on my sleeve, "can we go to the salon? I don't want it to look like this anymore." Her voice was steadier than I expected. We found a small salon that specialized in children's cuts. The stylist, a warm woman named Trina, studied Lily's uneven stubble. "We can shape this into a pixie cut," she suggested. Short, stylish, easy to manage. She showed Lily photos of smiling girls with chic, short hair. "Will I still look like me?" Lily asked nervously. "You'll look like the bravest girl in town," Trina said with a wink. As the clippers buzzed gently, this time with Lily's consent, I watched my daughter's face shift. Her fear softened into curiosity, then into something close to pride. When Trina spun the chair around, Lily tilted her head, examining her reflection. "It feels nice," she said slowly. "And it shows my eyes." Kevin knelt beside her. "You look incredible," he told her. "And this haircut is yours, not anyone else's choice. Yours." On the drive home, Lily touched the breeze against her neck through the open window and smiled faintly. It wasn't joy, not yet, but it was a beginning. Saturday brought another storm, not from the sky, but from my phone. A new wave of notifications poured in. Articles, gossip blogs, angry threads on social media. The video had spread further, hashtags multiplying, strangers dissecting our family like vultures. My stomach churned. I wanted justice, yes, but not like this, not at the cost of my daughter's privacy. Megan, my lawyer friend, called. "We're filing for a restraining order Monday," she said firmly, "and I've sent cease and desist notices to every platform hosting the video. But Juliet, once something goes viral, it never fully disappears." "I just don't want Lily growing up knowing thousands of strangers watched her cry," I whispered. "I know," Megan said softly, "but remember this. The outrage is on her side. The world sees Samantha for what she is. That matters." Sunday morning, the doorbell rang again. My heart sank when I opened it. Margaret and Thomas. My mother's face was pale, almost contrite. My father held a thermos of coffee, as if small gestures could bridge a chasm. "We need to talk," my mother began. "Things got out of hand." "Out of hand?" My laugh was bitter. "You call it that when your daughter assaults your granddaughter?" "She's devastated," Margaret pressed on. "She's losing everything. Her job, her reputation. Juliet, she needs help." "She needed help years ago," I snapped, "and you never gave it. Now she needs consequences." My father shifted uncomfortably. "We're asking you to make a statement. Say it was a misunderstanding. Help her salvage what's left." I stared at them, hardly believing what I heard. "You came here for her, not for Lily, not to ask how she's sleeping, how she's eating, how she's healing, just to protect Samantha." "Juliet," my father tried again. "She's family." "No," I said quietly but firmly. "Lily is my family, and from now on, she's the only one who matters." I closed the door in their faces. For once, I didn't feel guilty. Inside, Lily stood at the top of the stairs listening. "Was that Grandma and Grandpa?" she asked. "Yes," I admitted. "What did they want?" "To protect Aunt Samantha," I said. Lily's face tightened with something too grown for her years. "Do we still have to call them family?" "No," I told her. "Family is who keeps you safe. That's all that matters." As she came down and slipped her small hand into mine, I felt it. The severing of an old chain, the weight of generations of silence falling away. We weren't free yet, but we were walking toward it. Monday morning carried a strange heaviness, like the world itself was holding its breath. I woke early, tiptoeing out of bed so I wouldn't disturb Lily, who had finally slept through the night without whimpering. I sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold before I remembered to drink it. My phone buzzed again, messages piling up like storm debris. I ignored them. Today I had a clearer purpose: protect Lily, no matter the cost. At 9 a.m., I walked into the courthouse with Megan, my lawyer friend. She was all brisk professionalism, but her hand on my shoulder before we entered the judge's chambers grounded me. "We'll get the restraining order," she whispered. "The law is on your side." The judge, a stern woman with wire-rimmed glasses, listened carefully as Megan laid out the facts: the assault, the video evidence, the police report. When she glanced at the photographs of Lily's shorn head, her mouth tightened. "Temporary restraining order granted," she declared. Relief flooded me so fast I swayed on my feet. Samantha was barred from contacting Lily or me, effective immediately. When I told Lily later, she exhaled as though she'd been holding her breath since that night. "So she can't come near us anymore?" she asked. "No, sweetheart," I said firmly. "You're safe." That night, for the first time, Lily slept in her own bed again. But while we were finding slivers of safety, Samantha was unraveling. The video had spread beyond family gossip, beyond local outrage. It had become a storm online. Headlines popped up: "Aunt from hell, woman films herself, shaving niece's head against her will." Strangers dissected our lives, turning my daughter's pain into clicks and shares. I tried not to read the comments, but some found me anyway. "That poor little girl, someone call CPS," or "Lock the aunt up and throw away the key." In the midst of it all, Derek called again. His voice sounded hollow, a man echoing inside his own guilt. "I can't fix this," he admitted. "I stood by too long, but I'll testify. I'll tell the court everything. She bought the clippers, planned it, gloated about it. I didn't stop her, and that's on me. But I won't protect her anymore." There was a pause before I asked, "And Zach and Abby?" "They're confused, scared," he said. "Abby hasn't stopped crying. Zach's been pretending he didn't know better, but he did. I did. We all did." His voice cracked. "Juliet, I'm so sorry." I hung up feeling torn. Sympathy for the children, yes. For Derek, maybe. But for Samantha, none. Midweek, Lily had her second session with Dr. Bennett. I waited in the lobby, nerves chewing through me, until Dr. Bennett invited me in at the end. "She's talking more," Dr. Bennett said. "But the betrayal cuts deep. When harm comes from family, it fractures trust in a unique way. She asked me today, if family can hurt you, who can you trust?" The words twisted inside me like a knife. "What do I say to that?" I whispered. "You show her," Dr. Bennett replied gently. "By being consistent, by protecting her when no one else would. Trust is rebuilt by action, not promises." That night, after dinner, Lily sat cross-legged on the floor, drawing with her new pencils from Patricia. She showed me a picture of two girls, one with long hair, one with short, holding hands. Above them, she'd written in careful letters, "Both still beautiful." I had to excuse myself to the kitchen, blinking away tears. By Thursday, the ripple effects spread further. A reporter managed to track down my work email, asking for comment. I ignored it, but then another call came, this time from the district attorney's office. "We're reviewing the evidence," the woman said. "The video alone is strong. We're considering charges of misdemeanor assault and child endangerment. We'll be in touch." My mother called that evening. Against my better judgment, I answered. Her voice was tired, sharp edges dulled by worry. "Juliet, this has gone far enough. The police, the court orders. Do you want to destroy your sister completely?" "She destroyed herself," I snapped. "All I'm doing is making sure my daughter is safe." "She's in counseling now," my mother said. "She's fragile. The backlash has been unbearable. People are harassing her." My laugh was bitter. "Fragile? She held down an 8-year-old child and filmed it. And you're worried about her feelings?" "You've always hated her," my mother shot back. "Admit it. You've waited for her to fall." "No," I said coldly. "I've waited for you to finally see her for what she is, but you never will. And that's why Lily and I are done with this family." I hung up before she could respond. My hand trembled, but my chest felt lighter than it had in years. Friday brought a different kind of surprise, a knock on the door. Aunt Patricia again, this time with homemade lasagna. You shouldn't have to cook with all this going on, she said simply. She stayed for dinner, telling Lily stories about me as a child, stories my mother had never bothered to share. Lily giggled, asking for more, her eyes shining for the first time in days. As Patricia hugged me goodbye, she whispered, "I'm sorry for all the years I kept quiet. I won't anymore." Saturday evening, Kevin suggested something bold. Why don't we take her somewhere new for the weekend? Just us. No reminders of that house, no phones buzzing with poison. Let her feel like a kid again. So we did. We drove to the lake an hour away, rented a tiny cabin, and spent the day skipping stones, roasting marshmallows, and letting Lily chase dragonflies along the shore. For a few hours, the shadows lifted. She laughed, hair ruffling in the wind, eyes glowing in the setting sun. And in that golden light, I made myself a vow. This was the life I would fight for. Not the one filled with manipulation and cruelty, but this, laughter, safety, healing. I knew Samantha wasn't done trying to claw her way back. I knew my mother wasn't finished with her pleas and manipulations, but for the first time, I felt steady enough to face it, because my daughter was worth every battle still to come. Sunday night, after our return from the lake cabin, the house felt calmer than it had in weeks. Lily sprawled on the couch with her sketchbook, humming softly as she drew. I watched her, memorizing the small piece on her face. It struck me that healing wasn't a single moment, but a collection of fragile ones, each laugh, each safe night of sleep, each drawing unshadowed by fear. Then the phone rang. I nearly ignored it, but the number flashing on the screen was my father's. Against my instincts, I answered. "Juliet," he began, his voice subdued. "I need to talk. Not about Samantha, about me." I braced myself. "Go on." "I've been a coward," he admitted. "All these years, I told myself I was keeping the peace by staying quiet. But silence is just another kind of violence. I let your mother dismiss you. I let Samantha torment you. And now I've stood by while they hurt Lily." His voice cracked. "I am so sorry." For a moment, I couldn't speak. My father had always been the man of non-committal shrugs, of avoiding conflict by retreating behind a newspaper. To hear him admit fault felt like stepping into a parallel world. "You can't undo the past," I said finally, "but you can choose differently now." "I want to," he said quietly. "I've started counseling, alone, and with your mother. I don't know if she'll change, but I need to." It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. The next day, Monday, we returned to Dr. Bennett's office. Lily wore her new pixie cut proudly, a small barrette clipped at the side. During her session, I waited in the lobby, flipping through a magazine I couldn't focus on. When they emerged, Dr. Bennett smiled. "She's making progress. Today she told me she feels stronger, that she knows what happened wasn't her fault." Lily beamed up at me. "I said I'm like a tree, Mommy. Even if someone cuts off the branches, the roots are still strong." I hugged her so tightly she squeaked. That afternoon, the district attorney's office called. "We're filing charges," the woman informed me. "Misdemeanor assault and child endangerment. With the video evidence, it's straightforward." I hung up, heart racing. This was it, the beginning of accountability. But accountability had consequences, and they rippled fast. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You've ruined my life. Are you happy now?" No name, but I didn't need one. Samantha. I showed Megan. "It's harassment," she said firmly. "Document it. Every word. This strengthens your case." Later, when I tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Is Aunt Samantha going to jail?" "Maybe," I said honestly, "but no matter what happens, she won't hurt you again." Lily looked thoughtful. "Do you think she knows she did something bad? Or does she think it's funny still?" The question hollowed me. "I don't know, sweetheart. Sometimes people hide from the truth because it's easier than facing it, but that doesn't mean you deserved what happened. You didn't." On Wednesday, Lily returned to school. The counselor gathered the class for a talk about kindness and respect. Without naming her, they emphasized the importance of supporting each other through differences. When Lily walked in, Zoe at her side, something extraordinary happened. Several classmates applauded. A few even wore scarves in solidarity. Lily flushed, but she smiled too, a real smile, wide and unguarded. I watched from the hallway, tears streaming freely. My little girl, who had been forced into humiliation, was now standing taller than the people who tried to break her. That evening, Aunt Patricia stopped by again. "You'd be proud of her," she told me, "the way she held her chin high. She's braver than most adults I know." "She is," I said, smiling through tears. Patricia grew serious. Juliet, the family is fracturing. Your mother is furious with you, but also with Samantha. She's embarrassed now that the whole world knows, but she still won't admit her part in it.
She never will, I said bitterly.
Maybe not, Patricia admitted. But your father, he's different. I see him trying. Don't close the door completely. He may finally be ready to step out of her shadow. That night, Lily crawled into my lap, asking, Mommy, are we still family with them? I paused. Family isn't about blood, baby. It's about love and safety. Some people gave up the right to call themselves our family when they hurt you. So, we can choose new family? She asked. Yes, I said, kissing the top of her head. We already have Aunt Patricia, Daddy, Zoe, people who love you the right way. Her eyes grew soft. Then I'm glad, because I like this family better. And as the rain pattered gently outside, I realized something. The cycle had already broken. We weren't waiting for healing anymore. We were living it, piece by piece, breath by breath. But deep down, I knew Samantha wasn't done. People like her rarely bow quietly to consequences. The real storm, the courtroom, the reckonings, the desperate manipulations was still coming. And I was ready. By Friday, the air around us felt charged, like static before lightning. The DA's office confirmed a court date for Samantha's arraignment. My stomach clenched when I saw the official papers. It was real now, not just a nightmare we could wish away. I glanced at Lily, who was sprawled on the rug, coloring a picture of a phoenix. It's me, she said when I asked about it. Rising from ashes, her little voice explained. She didn't know how perfectly it fit. That evening, as I folded laundry, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find my parents on the porch again. My father looked weary, his eyes rimmed red. My mother clutched her handbag like a shield. Juliet, she began, her voice rehearsed. We need to discuss this madness. I kept my hand on this door. We don't have anything to discuss. You're tearing the family apart, she snapped, dragging your sister's name through the mud. Do you know what people are saying about us? About us? My laugh was sharp. People are talking about Samantha's cruelty, not your precious reputation. She's in therapy now, my mother continued, ignoring me. She regrets what happened. Isn't that enough? Must you press charges too? Regret doesn't erase what she did, I said coldly, and therapy doesn't undo trauma. Lily still wakes up crying in the night. My father stepped forward. Juliet, please, I'm not excusing her, but jail time? Think of what this will do to the family. There is no family anymore, I said. Not the way you mean it. My mother's mask cracked then, bitterness spilling out. You've always been jealous of Samantha, always looking for ways to ruin her. This time, you've gone too far. I inhaled slowly, forcing myself not to shout. Do you even hear yourself? You're defending a woman who assaulted your granddaughter, filmed it, and mocked her pain. And you dare to call me jealous? Before either could answer, Lily's small voice drifted from behind me. Grandma? She stood in the hallway, clutching her rabbit. My mother brightened, stepping forward, but Lily shrank back. Please don't come in, she whispered. I don't feel safe with you. The silence was deafening. My father's face crumpled. My mother froze, as if her own granddaughter's words were more offensive than the act that caused them. I knelt beside Lily. It's okay, sweetheart. Go back upstairs. I'll handle this. She obeyed, climbing the steps slowly, leaving her words hanging like a verdict neither of them could appeal. I turned back to my parents. You heard her. That's all you need to know. Goodbye. I shut the door firmly, this time with no hesitation. That night, after Lily fell asleep, my phone buzzed with a new message. This time from Samantha. Enjoying your victory? Don't get too comfortable. Families forgive. They'll forgive me. You'll be the one left out in the cold. My chest tightened, but instead of fear, I felt clarity. She still believed this was a competition. She didn't understand that I wasn't fighting for status. I was fighting for my child's right to feel safe in her own skin. Saturday morning brought an unexpected gift. Zoe's mother, Angela, knocked on our door. We saw the news, she said, her face full of compassion. Zoe begged me to come. She wants Lily to know she's not alone. She handed me a card covered in children's handwriting. Inside were messages from Lily's classmates. We like your hair. You're strong. Don't listen to bullies. When Lily read it, tears filled her eyes. They don't hate me, she whispered. No, baby, I said, wrapping my arms around her. They admire you. That afternoon, Kevin took us both to a park. We sat by the fountain, watching Lily chase pigeons. He leaned toward me. Juliet, thank you. For what? For protecting her when I wasn't here, for being the anchor. His voice cracked.
I know I haven't been the most present father, but I want to do better. From now on, she'll never doubt where she stands with me. I nodded, the ache in my chest easing. Maybe Lily could have one parent who was finally learning and another who had never stopped fighting. But Sunday evening brought a darker twist. Megan called, "Juliet, the video. It's resurfacing. Someone re-uploaded it to a new platform. It's gaining traction again." My heart sank. After all the takedown requests? "Once it's out there, it never fully disappears," she said grimly. "But this time, people are angrier. They're demanding criminal charges. Samantha's name is trending." I sat on the couch in silence as Lily colored at the table. The world had seen her pain, mocked, shared, dissected. Yet at the same time, strangers were demanding justice on her behalf. It was a paradox. The cruelty that had shattered her was also what might finally hold Samantha accountable. When I tucked Lily in that night, she looked at me sleepily. "Mommy, do you think people can really change?" I brushed her hair, short now, but still hers, off her forehead. "Some can," I said softly. "But only if they admit the harm they've done and work to make it right." "And if they don't? Then we change," I said. "We choose better family. We choose better lives." She nodded, already drifting. "Then let's choose." And as I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, I knew the courtroom battle ahead would be brutal. But we were already winning in the ways that mattered most. The courthouse smelled faintly of old paper and floor polish, the kind of scent that clung to decades of arguments and verdicts. On the morning of Samantha's arraignment, I sat on a hard wooden bench with Lily's small hand in mine. Kevin was on her other side, his presence a steady anchor. Aunt Patricia joined us, carrying a thermos of chamomile tea and a quiet strength I hadn't realized I needed until she pressed it into my hands. Samantha entered with her lawyer, dressed in muted gray as though fabric alone could soften her arrogance. She avoided my eyes, but when she glanced at Lily, a flash of something dark twisted her face. Resentment, not remorse. The judge read the charges: misdemeanor assault, child endangerment. Samantha's lawyer argued it was a family misunderstanding, a poor attempt at a prank blown out of proportion. My chest burned as I listened. Then the prosecutor played the video. The sound of Lily's screams filled the courtroom, echoing off the walls like broken glass. My daughter buried her face against my arm, trembling. Kevin wrapped his arms around her. Aunt Patricia's hand found mine and squeezed. The room was silent, except for Samantha's recorded laughter. I saw jurors flinch. I saw the judge's jaw tighten. When it was over, Samantha's lawyer stammered something about context, but the damage was done. Samantha was released on bail, but the judge ordered a psychological evaluation and barred her from any contact with Lily. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, microphones thrust forward, cameras flashing. "Juliet, do you believe your sister should go to jail? How is Lily coping? What does this mean for your family?" I shielded Lily with my body, my voice low and firm. "No comment. Respect my daughter's privacy." That evening, I sat at the kitchen table with Megan. "The DA will likely offer her a plea deal," she explained. "Community service, counseling, probation. Jail time is unlikely for a first offense, but the restraining order will stand, and her career is effectively over." I nodded slowly. "That's not enough," I murmured. "It's the system we have," Megan said gently. "But remember, your real victory isn't the sentence. It's the boundary you've built. She can't hurt Lily again." Later, Lily climbed into my lap, holding up her latest drawing. It was of a girl with short hair, standing tall on a stage, speaking to a group of children. Above her, she'd written in careful block letters, "Tell the truth, even if it's scary." I kissed the top of her head. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. Is it you?" "Yes," she said firmly. "I want to tell kids they don't have to be scared of family if family hurts them. They can tell. They should tell." Her words cut me open and stitched me back together at the same time. The next day at school, her teacher, Miss Rivera, approached me. "Lily asked if she could give a talk to the class about bullying," she said. "I think it's a wonderful idea if you're comfortable." I hesitated. My instinct was to protect her from further exposure, but then I remembered her drawing, her determination. "If she wants to, then yes," I agreed. On Friday, I stood at the back of her classroom as Lily spoke to her classmates. Her voice wavered at first, but grew stronger with each word. "Even if someone is family," she said,
They don't get to hurt you, and if they do, telling isn't tattling, it's protecting yourself.
Her classmates listened, wide-eyed, some nodding. When she finished, they clapped. Zoe jumped up and hugged her. My throat tightened as pride swelled inside me. That weekend, we created new traditions: a backyard movie night with blankets and popcorn, a trip to the animal shelter where Lily helped walk a timid puppy. Kevin joined us, his laughter genuine, his phone put away for once. Aunt Patricia brought cookies shaped like stars. For the first time in months, the air around us felt light. But the storm outside our little circle still raged. Online, the video spread in waves, taken down, re-uploaded, dissected. Samantha became infamous, branded as the haircut aunt. Former colleagues spoke out. Job offers vanished. Even her friends distanced themselves. She had wanted attention her whole life. Now she had it, but in the cruelest way. On Sunday evening, my father called. His voice was quieter than I'd ever heard it. "Juliet," he said, "I want you to know, I've started individual therapy, and I'm going with your mother too. She doesn't want to, but I insisted. I won't keep being silent. Not anymore." I closed my eyes, letting his words sink in. For years, I had dreamed of him standing up, choosing truth over peacekeeping. Maybe it was too late for the little girl I once was, but it wasn't too late for Lily. When I tucked her in that night, she asked, "Mommy, are we still broken?" I brushed her hair back, smiling softly. "No, baby, we're not broken. We're rebuilding, stronger than before." And in the quiet of her room, with her breathing evening out in sleep, I realized the truth. Samantha's cruelty had shattered something, yes, but in the shards, we were finding pieces to build something better, something unshakable. Spring warmed into summer, and with it, our lives slowly began to stitch themselves into something new. Lily's hair had grown just enough to form a soft halo around her head, and she wore it proudly now, accessorized with bright barrettes and patterned headbands she picked herself. "It's me," she declared one morning before school, turning her head in the mirror. Different, but still me. The confidence in her voice made my heart swell. The legal process dragged on, as it always does, but the restraining order held steady. Samantha's calls and texts had stopped. Whether because of her lawyer's warnings or the online backlash, I didn't know. Every now and then, though, I'd get a message from a blocked number. "You think you've won. Family doesn't stay broken forever." I showed each one to Megan, who added them to her growing folder of evidence. "This only strengthens your case," she reminded me. Meanwhile, my father made good on his word. Every Sunday, he stopped by with flowers for me and art supplies for Lily. He stayed for dinner, listening more than speaking, and when Lily shyly asked if he wanted to see her school project, he lit up in a way I hadn't seen since I was a child. One evening, after she went to bed, he lingered at the table. "Juliet," he said, his voice heavy, "I can't undo the years I let your mother run the show, but I can be here now, for you, for her, if you'll let me." I studied him, searching for cracks of performance, but found none. His apology wasn't grand. It was quiet, consistent, backed by action instead of words, and for the first time in my life, I believed him. My mother, however, remained distant. She sent occasional texts, never asking about Lily's well-being, only lamenting how embarrassed she was by the family's reputation. When I didn't reply, she escalated. "You'll regret cutting me off. Blood is thicker than water." I didn't answer. My silence was its own boundary. Aunt Patricia, on the other hand, became a constant presence. She came over every Thursday with baked goods, sat at our table, and told Lily stories about me as a child. Funny, mischievous stories my mother never shared. "Your mom once climbed the apple tree in the backyard and refused to come down until dinner," Patricia said one night, making Lily giggle so hard she nearly toppled off her chair. These visits wove new threads of family into our lives, threads of love and choice instead of obligation. Kevin, too, changed. The trauma had jolted him into showing up in a way he hadn't since our divorce. He visited twice a month now, planning trips with Lily, taking time off work to be present. "I miss too much already," he admitted one afternoon as we watched Lily ride her bike. "I won't miss any more." For once, I believed him too. The biggest transformation, though, was in Lily. With Dr. Bennett's help, she found her voice again. One day, she asked if she could give a presentation to her class about bullying and resilience. I was hesitant. Wouldn't it expose her pain again? But her determination convinced me.
On the day of the presentation, I stood at the back of the classroom, heart pounding. Lily stood at the front, a poster behind her with the words, "Stand tall." She looked at her classmates and said, clear and steady, "Even if someone is family, they don't have the right to hurt you. If they do, telling isn't tattling, it's protecting yourself." Her classmates listened, rapt. When she finished, they clapped. Zoe hugged her tight. I wiped tears from my cheeks, overwhelmed with pride. Out of cruelty had grown courage. By July, we had built new traditions. Instead of attending the family reunion at my mother's house, we created our own summer rituals: Saturday trips to the lake, backyard movie nights with Kevin and Patricia, volunteering at the animal shelter where Lily loved walking the smallest puppies. "This is my real family," she said once, her eyes bright. "The people who make me feel safe." One warm evening, as we sat on the porch, Lily asked, "Mommy, do you think people can really change?" I thought carefully. I think they can, if they truly want to, and if they work very hard. But not everyone does. Some people stay the same. Like Aunt Samantha? Yes, I said softly. And maybe Grandma. But Grandpa is trying, and so are we. Lily considered this, then nodded. Then I'll keep my real family, the safe one. She leaned against me, the cicadas buzzing in the trees, and I realized something profound. Samantha's cruelty had ended one family, but it had given birth to another, one forged not by blood, but by choice, by resilience, by love that protected instead of wounded. The cycle of silence had been broken, and from its wreckage, something stronger was already taking root. By late August, the heat had settled over our town like a heavy blanket, cicadas droning in the evenings as if marking the slow march of change. Lily's 9th birthday was approaching, and instead of the usual awkward family gathering at my mother's house, we planned something entirely different. A backyard celebration with fairy lights strung across the fence. Her classmates, Zoe's family, Aunt Patricia, and Kevin. No pretenses, no forced smiles, no cruelty masquerading as kinship. Just love. Lily carefully wrote out invitations, her short hair now styled into a playful bob that framed her bright eyes. "I like it this way," she told me one morning, clipping in a rainbow barrette. "It feels like me, not like I'm hiding anymore." She no longer flinched when looking in the mirror. Instead, she examined herself with curiosity, as though she were rediscovering who she could be. In the weeks before the party, life settled into a rhythm. School was steady, therapy sessions continued, and laughter slowly returned to our home. Kevin became more present than he had in years, driving Lily to art class, staying for dinner, showing up for parent-teacher conferences without me asking. One evening, as we cleaned up after dinner, he said quietly, "I used to think being a good dad was about providing money, being there when I could, but it's about showing up, every day, in the little ways. I should have learned that sooner." His voice cracked. "But I'm learning now." I believed him. My father also remained consistent. Every Sunday he brought fresh flowers, or books for Lily, staying for an early dinner. He never mentioned Samantha unless I did, never pressured, never minimized. Once, as Lily painted at the table, he said to me in a low voice, "I wasted decades trying not to rock the boat, but I see now, sometimes rocking the boat is the only way to save the people inside it." It wasn't absolution, but it was growth, and I allowed myself to feel hope. My mother, however, stayed silent. When she did reach out, her texts were manipulative. "Family should forgive. You'll regret this distance." Or worse, "You're poisoning Lily against us." I stopped reading them. My silence was my boundary. As for Samantha, her world had crumbled. She'd taken the plea deal: probation, mandatory counseling, community service, and a restraining order. Her reputation, once carefully polished, was now a ruin. Online, she remained infamous. Job offers vanished. Even her closest friends distanced themselves. Derek had filed for divorce, and custody of Zach and Abby was under review. Patricia told me quietly, "Even your mother can't protect her from consequences now." Still, I didn't rejoice. A strange sadness lingered, not for Samantha the abuser, but for the sister she could have been if envy and cruelty hadn't consumed her. But pity is not the same as forgiveness, and I knew better than to mistake one for the other. The night of Lily's birthday party, our backyard glowed with string lights and laughter. Children ran barefoot on the grass,
chasing bubbles, their shrieks carrying into the twilight. Patricia told stories that made everyone laugh, Kevin manned the grill, and Zoe presented Lily with a handmade scrapbook filled with drawings and photos of their friendship. When it was time for cake, Lily stood on a chair, beaming as everyone sang. I watched her face illuminated by the candles, her eyes closed as she made a wish. Later she whispered to me, "I didn't wish for my hair back. I wish that I'll always have people who love me like this." Tears pricked my eyes. "That's the best wish you could have made," I told her. After the guests left and the lights were dimmed, Lily curled up beside me on the porch swing, the summer stars bright above us. "Mommy," she asked softly, "are we safe now?" I held her close, listening to the cicadas. "Yes, baby, we're safe, because we've learned how to protect ourselves. We don't let people who hurt us back in just because they share our blood." She nodded, her small body relaxing against mine. "Family isn't who you're born to," she murmured. "It's who keeps you safe." "Yes," I whispered, "and that's the family we're building." In that moment, I realized the full truth. Samantha's cruelty had shattered illusions, but in its place, Lily and I had created something far stronger than I ever thought possible. We had redefined family, not as a chain we were born into, but as a circle we chose, carefully, lovingly, fiercely. The past still ached, yes. Betrayal doesn't disappear overnight. But as the swing creaked beneath us, as Lily's breathing grew steady in the summer night, I knew this. The cycle of silence and cruelty had ended with me, and in its place, we were writing a new legacy. One built on truth, on resilience, and on love that would never again mistake cruelty for care.